Hey, it's what day is it? Tuesday, the 28th. We're ending February with awesomeness. And I really like that song and I get to jam out to it every time. But then YouTube and Facebook and all the platforms demonetize these videos. So I can't make any money off them because of those sounds. But it is what it is. So today we've got Jennye Hall back and I'm excited because she was awesome last time. And hopefully she's awesome this time. But I'm sure she will be. Today we're going to cover what comes after licensing. So this is going to be more on the nuts and bolts of how to set your business up. And if you already have it set up, maybe you'll be making some tweaks to it as well. I'm excited to see how I can apply this to the lending side as well, because I'm sure there's some solid advice that way. So take it away, Jennye.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. Hello, everybody who's tuning in. Ryan, thank you for hosting me and having me on again. So the last conversation that we had, I learned a couple things. Number one, I needed better facial lighting so you could actually see my face. Second, I use my hands way too much. In person, it looks great. On camera, it looks like I've got twitches. So I'm going to try to tame that down. But the last time that we talked, it was basically about approaching getting your license. And once you get your license and getting through the licensing process and looking at education, getting you kind of that point where it's your pivot point for jumping off. But once you've got your license, here's the deal. People, now you've got a business to run. And it's not hard, but there are a lot of layers to it. And the more that you know, and the easier it is for you to understand things, the better it will be for you to then, in hopefully our next broadcast, talk about how are you going to allocate your marketing dollars. Where is your bank account stand? How much do you actually have to invest in a business? So today is just talking about getting your business off the ground. So hopefully I'll take a little sting out of it and make it easier for people. And yes, of course, I always have my piece of paper. So you got your license, and this is great. So you've got two different choices in terms of how you structure your business. You can go through your Social Security number, which is personal income, or you can file with Sunbiz for either an LLC, which is a limited liability company, or a PA, professional association, in which case then you can separate your personal income from your professional income. A CPA, and I'll keep referring back to a CPA, is going to be the better one to talk to find a really good one. I know a few that are very, very strong out there, but they can identify and tell you how to separate. And if you run your business through your Social Security number, my understanding is that your private assets then become business assets. If you get a separate business structure, then that allows you a chance to kind of separate. The old school term was church and state. And one doesn't necessarily have to affect the other. So with an SSN, again, it's personal income, it's not business income. And expense reimbursement, and again, I'm going to defer to a CPA on this because laws change frequently, but there may not be the same amount of reimbursements on personal as there is in business. Defer to a CPA, but understand that there is a distinct difference. A limited liability corporation, LLC, or a PA, professional association, are inherently more or less the same thing. It just depends on what letters you want after the name that you pick. This is all done through Sunbiz. And it's on my document, and I won't spell it out, but we can share it afterwards. But Sunbiz is the state house that basically grants you your LLC or your PA. And once you have that, you do have to use your home address if you are working from home. If you have an office that you are required to go into, you can use the office address. But in most cases, when I've helped other agents set these up, or at least direct them to the right place more than set them up, you have to use your home address. So be comfortable knowing that if you live at 123 Main Street, Anytown, USA, 12345, it will be part of public knowledge. That is part of Florida Sunshine Law. Everything is out there for people to see. Be aware. With SunBiz, you do have to file an annual report. Usually, if you get with a good CPA, I'm going to keep going back to this. I cannot reinforce this enough for somebody setting up a business. Get a CPA. Don't Google. Get a CPA to run this. It will cost you, but I promise you it will save you in the long run. You will need to file that annual report. It's very, very simple, but the CPA will handle that for you. So don't let that freak you out. Just know it's just kind of part of the gig.
Super easy to do. I've got a couple different businesses. It takes 20 minutes maybe to fill it out if you do it on your own. But if you're like you said, if you're working with a CPA and they offer that, take advantage of that for sure.
Absolutely. Now, one thing piece of advice, don't get cute with your name. Keep it very simple. KISS. Keep it simple, silly. Because as a realtor, you're going to have, and we're going to get into getting your FEIN in a minute, but you want what's on SunBiz to jive with DBPR, which is business professional relations, where you're going to have to house your license. You're going to want it to jive with the IRS. You want everything to be very simple, because as you get paid as a realtor, it's going to go through your brokerage. And the simpler you keep it, mine is Jennifer L. Hall, LLC. Easy peasy. It jives with my passport. It jives with my driver's license. It jives with my bank accounts. Keep it very simple and direct. I know that we also live right now in a world where there's a lot of fraud and people are afraid to put personal information out here. If it's your legal name, I'd suggest going with that, again, to keep it simple. Note one thing with DBPR, which is professional regulations that's going to regulate your actual license to practice real estate. If you move or you change your name, but more importantly, if you move, you have 10 days to notify DBPR that your address has changed. 10 days. If we've all moved, 10 days is not a lot of time. Just be aware that that is hanging in the balance, and just make sure that you're clear on it. So once you've set up your account through SunBiz and you've established the name of your LLC, they're going to give you a clearance code. They're going to give you an email. Then you need to actually apply for an FEIN, which is your federal employee identification number, employer identification number, I apologize, with the IRS. And what that does is that then removes your social security number from the LLC or PA, whichever you decide is better for you. Kind of 6 one way, half a dozen the other. And then once the IRS establishes your EIN number, then you send it to SunBiz. And then now your personal life and your professional life are financially separate. Your accountant will need to know that, because that's how they're going to file things. It sounds like a lot and overwhelming, but if you follow the steps really easily, it's not that tough. Ryan, you can weigh in because you've done this.
Yeah, it takes only a few minutes to get an EIN, and I've done it with multiple businesses, and it doesn't take much to accomplish the basics of getting it set up. It's the after the fact that can be difficult for sure.
Yeah, and it can be, but it again, if you go in the right pecking order of things, then it's really not that difficult. It's just understanding what that order of things is to get it done, to make sure that you've got, your feet soundly underneath you. And once you have that established and everything is filed, first of all, and I'm old school and I do admit this, but I would really like everyone to keep not only digital online copies on the web, on the cloud, keep hard copies. Go old school a little bit with a filing cabinet. It's really old school, but keep copies, because every once in a while you're going to be in the middle of something and 5 different things are happening in your computer at the same time, and you're going to need to be able to reference those numbers easily. And keep hard copies. I also suggest taking copies of those records and scanning them over and maybe sending them to a family member that you trust, or again, always they're going to go to your CPA. So the next thing is, let's talk about CPAs. There are a lot of very good ones out there, but just as realtors, whether we specialize in residential, commercial, investment, REOs, there's a lot of different CPAs that have specialties in terms of the businesses that they serve. They may serve medical facilities and hospitals. They may serve any number of different types of organizations. Find one that works really well with realtors, because every year the tax code changes. What can you write off? What can't you write off? You think that you sit down and you've got a lunch with somebody and you talk about real estate, even though you're just trying to get your grilled cheese in your mouth, and it turns into an hour-long conversation. It doesn't mean you can write that off. There's different ways to handle the tax code, and that's what a good qualified CPA in real estate is for. They understand what it is. Now, the other thing with a CPA is, once you've established your LLC or your PA, then once you've established your FEIN with the IRS and everything is conjoined, and so IRS, SunBiz, and DBPR are all on the same page, then when you get with a CPA, they can tell you about different options. And there are different options, whether it's sole proprietor or filing as an S Corp. I am not a CPA, but I will tell you from my own personal experience that one of the changes that was recommended was changing to an S Corp, because there apparently are different deductions based on sole proprietor versus S Corp. But with an S Corp, again, I'm deferring to a CPA. But with an S Corp, you have to set up a payroll account and you have to pay yourself. So when you first start out, you may be taking every bit that you make, setting aside your roughly 40% for all of your taxes, because you're paying both sides of the house as a self-employed person. You may not have enough to pay yourself. You may have to put everything back into the business. And that happens with many businesses. So again, I'm still going to defer to a CPA on that. But those are your first steps to just get your boots off the ground, to get yourself established. And then once all that is set up, then our next module, which I would get into, but it's a lot of talk and is discovering and defining how much money you actually have to invest in your business. Do you have 30 to 40 grand in the bank sitting there, cash free, non-obligatory, that you can utilize? Then we get into talking about marketing strategies. Where is the best use of your money? And where is there a waste of money? But it is different for every single person. So that's pretty much, sorry, I had itchy minutes. Welcome to pollen in Florida, sorry. But that was, pretty much the topics for today, was just to let people know, here's how you can set things up and keep yourself kind of hassle-free as much as possible, and keep your personal finances separate from your business.
Yeah, and I posted a couple of the links that you brought up in the comments for a quick reference too. Yeah, I mean, it is really an endless conversation of how you can set your business up, for sure. And even on our side as the lender, I mean, depending on if you're broker or retail, if you're W-2 or you're 1099, I mean, a lot of that stuff comes into play, and it probably comes into play for quite a few of the agents in here as well that are, maybe buyer's agents and getting a salary plus commission, or just little different differentiators like that. It's extremely important to make sure that you're speaking with someone that's qualified to at least be able to show you how it works. And with the CPA, they can break down what the best route is depending on what you have as write-offs and what you've written off in the past. Or, if you're new, then, they can help you at least get it set up properly from the beginning, so you're not screwing around and wasting your time chasing your tail and losing money because of it.
Correct. And the other thing, for people out there that are married or have a domestic partner or whatever the arrangement may be, if you are financially tied and legally tied to another person and you choose to use your social, you've got to remember that you're tied to that person. So separating your own business also protects that entity, or could protect that entity. Again, not an attorney, not a CPA, but my experience has said that that is a good way to, again, separate and keep your business a business and not tie it into your primary residence, your car ownership, or anything like that. Again, CPA would be the best to speak to, but just be aware that that could be a pitfall. And as a lot of people are coming into real estate kind of as a secondary career, or a secondary income, whatever it may be, or primary income, you just want to make sure that you've protected your bases. That's all.
Definitely, yeah. Getting out there and talking with people for sure, and just bringing awareness to this. I would guarantee you that there's somebody that's going to flip through this video that has never heard of or didn't know that they could set their business up that way. And ultimately, in any business, whether it's real estate or a mechanic shop or anything, you want to set it up as a separate entity just to keep that completely separate. So like you said, that worst case scenario of the divorce comes down the line and your partner has ownership of half of your real estate business because you didn't take the time to set it up properly, and they're dependent on that income. So definitely, especially, knowing the divorce side of that can wreck your business.
A little tricky. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, all right. So I'm excited for the next one too. We'll be here either this week or next week or the following week. But definitely getting out there and talking about, where to put your money, and what the money, how much money do you need? How do you market properly? How do you do it effectively? It's probably more money than you think, but it might be less too, right? So I'm excited to figure that out and help a bunch of people get out there and figure out where to put their money properly, and instead of just grabbing at straws and figuring that all out. So
yeah, and that does happen a lot, but we'll get into that more. And but during this, and I'm glad that our time frame is like 2 weeks between each conversation. Oh, I'm using my hands again, sorry. But finding out about your education. So this process between your SunBiz and getting your LLC name registered, applying for FEIN, with government turnarounds right now, it's probably about a 2-week process. It's not a bad time to look at doing some education in between the end of your licensing and passing your test with the state and getting into marketing. This is actually a good time to get this set up, and maybe while you're waiting on these things to come through, to do a little education.
Definitely. And it's a great time because spring training is here. So I created our real estate agent accelerator spring training. So we're going to kind of mimic along with baseball there. I'm a big baseball guy, so it's fun to create some stuff like that. And the link is in the comments to sign up for that. And you'll be getting daily information. There may be a couple days that I skip in there just to give you a day off, but it's going to be, there's going to be some new stuff, some stuff that we've done in the past, some stuff that's important for you and your clients, some stuff like this that's important for your business. It's going to be kind of an all-encompassing training for the entire month of March coming up. So it's, if there's one thing that you can take out of it, it's going to be worth it to make sure to tune into that. And like I said, it'll come to either your email inbox or your text message, and it'll get you out there and learning some new stuff. Like you said, it's definitely a good time for education going into the spring buying market. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jennye, and we will see you again in a couple weeks. And if you've got any questions for Jennye, feel free to comment, and I'm sure she's going to chime in afterwards.
Absolutely. Brian, thank you again for hosting this, and thanks for bringing people that want to do better at business and do better at their jobs together.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what the group is all about. So it's let's keep inviting your friends and getting them in here too, because I know you got more of them out there that want to learn too. So let's bring them in and get them on the train.
Will do.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.